Welcome to the Last Night Sports Blog Radio. I'm your host, Brandon Edwards, coming to you live with the NFL Draft Preview 2012. I want to give you a few of my picks who I think my teams will draft. I was watching the NFL Network yesterday, and they had a few shows on, and they were talking about the top 10 draft busts of all time, which I thought was pretty funny because there's so much hype built around the NFL draft every year and the combine, and this guy's arm length is 50 inches, and his vertical leap is 50 inches, and he's 6'6", and he could run a 40 in 4 seconds flat, 3 seconds flat, but the guy is unproductive in the league, and after a year or two, he's gone. You never hear from him again. And it's pretty ridiculous. We all get swept up in it, including myself, but the NFL draft is such a crapshoot. There are no guarantees, and there are guys that come out of nowhere and take the league by storm, as I spoke of in the last post about Arian Foster and Victor Cruz. So I want to talk about some guys. It's very interesting that out of these top 10 draft busts, 75% of them happen to be quarterbacks, which is pretty interesting because teams sell their souls and sell their picks year after year for the next big thing, the next great thing. Two of the greatest quarterbacks, I think it's number one and number two, Tom Brady and Joe Montana. It's debatable who's number one and who's number two. They're both great. Joe Montana was drafted in the 5th round out of Notre Dame. Tom Brady was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers for Joe Montana, for those of you who don't know and are watching this sports blog. Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round by the New England Patriots out of the University of Michigan, the 6th round. And these guys are the two best quarterbacks ever. So why do teams constantly oversell on number one picks? Now, there's been such a high bar set for Andrew Luck. I don't think the kid is really sweating it or worrying about it. He doesn't have much of a team to play with, but I hope he's good. I think he will be good. One thing that puzzled me recently with these constant draft busts is why would the Washington Redskins trade everything for the number 2 pick? Not the number 1 overall pick, but the number 2 pick. I don't know if they didn't learn from when Ricky Williams was drafted by the Saints, or maybe they're getting some hope after seeing Julio Jones drafted by the Atlanta Falcons last year. But they're giving up everything for not the number 1 overall player, but the number 2 player. So who kind of came out of nowhere with hopes that it'll be great. And like I said, it benefits me and it benefits you if Robert Griffin III, RG3, is great in the NFL. It's going to be tougher for the Giants to compete, but still, the Giants are another heart attack waiting to happen. But it just made me scratch my head, and I guess we could trust Shanahan, the coach, Mike Shanahan's track record, being able to draft really well, draft very deep. They bring in guys from small schools, guys who you've never heard of that can come in and be productive. So we'll see how that plays out. I think it'll be very interesting. I think the city of D.C., the District of Columbia deserves a good quarterback and a good team because it's one of the storied franchises in the NFL. So, like I said before, a draft can make or break a franchise. You see constantly the same teams in the lottery picking and hoping it'll change their fortune and future. The Jacksonville Jaguars, ton of teams like I named before, the Chiefs, the Rams. It's kind of nauseating. Like, why something's wrong? Why are you guys not good yet? But a draft can almost instantly shape and transform a franchise. If you look at Detroit, with them picking up a number 1 overall quarterback, then star wide receiver, and then dominant defensive tackle. They're a playoff contender in a really good division. So a draft can make or break a franchise at times. It could get you off to a great start, or it could slow you down a couple of years. Look at the Raiders with Jamarcus Russell. Him being a bust, I think, really hurt them for a long period of time. So the guys I'm going to list have sort of been slated for the after 10, mid 15 to late rounds, but still star talent, really great picks. And they probably would be higher based on team needs. So David DeCastro out of Stanford, a guard, he's been highly productive. He's a beast. He was great at the combine, like one of the fastest times by a lineman and most bench reps. And he's been productive guarding Andrew Luck as well as his teammate, left tackle Jonathan Martin out of Stanford. He's a guy with a lot of talent. They call him a mauler. He's a lot better in the run than he is in the passing, but he's good at passing as well. So that's something that the Giants may want to look at with both of those guys. A glaring need for the Niners, of course, is right guard. They let a few guys go. And also, of course, David DeCastro is a former product of Jim Harbaugh, the coach of the 49ers. So are those guys worth drafting up for? I think so. With the talent that the Niners and Giants have and how deep they are, they can afford to lose a few draft picks to get the guys that they really, really want. Luke Kuechly out of Boston College, as we all know, Tom Coughlin, that's his alma mater, Boston College. They're pretty deep right now with middle linebacker. The 49ers actually could stand to draft some middle linebackers for depth. They're slightly good on depth, but behind Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis, they could use another guy or two. But Luke Kuechly, he's A's across the board. I think this past year he won the Dick Butkus Award, and I'm not sure, it's another college award he won for Defensive Player of the Year, but he's supposed to be the truth. Inside linebacker, middle linebacker, really talented guy, polished guy, sharp guy from Boston College. Michael Brockers is a guy that I added late. I was hearing his name all across the board, and I didn't know how to feel about it. They talked about a lot of different defensive tackles in the draft. One thing they kept saying was that he's raw, which is, in my opinion, great, because all that means is that he has the talent and the skills to be successful, and he just needs more coaching and more time to develop. My two favorite players, they called raw too. Jason Pierre-Paul, they said he was raw. He's dominating the NFL. Aldon Smith, they said he was raw. He was practically dominating as a backup in the NFL. So Michael Brockers, defensive tackle out of LSU, great coaching, great competition. I think he could be pretty good. I don't know if he's worth moving up for, but he could be good. I watched this show on ESPN about draft statistics where they showed this guy pushing like an 18-wheeler truck. So that was pretty funny. And lastly, of my top five, Stephen Hill, guy who really impressed at the combine out of Georgia Tech. He's a wide receiver. He seems to be potentially the next Calvin Johnson type, but rated down. Whereas I'm just speaking of height, speed, athleticism, and ability to go after the ball. So this is something that possibly the Niners or Giants may want to look at. I don't know. People in the draft teams are usually seduced by talented wide receivers, so he could go pretty fast. The top picks are very valuable. So I look at the programs because the programs kind of reflect the level of coaching and the level of competition. Secondly, I look at the statistics to see their productivity, to see if they really put in a lot of work on the field and have a high motor. And then I look at the raw talent and their character. Guys, a lot of times with character issues, it's never going to go away. Teams think that they can reform certain players, but some guys are just young and immature and not really ready for the big stage. Raw talent could go way past all the statistics at the combine and all the numbers. If the dude is just incredibly gifted, it doesn't matter what he looks like or his size, because he could come in and really potentially be a Pro Bowl superstar. Thanks again for spending time with the Last Night Sports Blog Radio. Have a great week and enjoy the 2012 NFL Draft. Take care.